Hey guys, it's Gaz. Welcome to the Warframe video. So today I'm going to be going over a bit of a new style of video. So we're going to be doing a loadout guide today. So I thought this was a pretty fun idea. I kind of did this with my Mesa Prime review, where we discussed which weapons and arcanes and all these things that we would want to use to synergize with the weaknesses of the playstyle, so we can pretty much cover all the bases. So yeah, that's what we're going to do again today. Let me know how you like this kind of video in the comments, because I think it's a pretty fun idea. Just to have some synergies in your head. You can just theory craft yourself and maybe make something that you enjoy more than maybe the things I'm suggesting. Okay, so today we're going to be going over a loadout based around operator combat. And yes, I know that sounds silly, but honestly, it's not that terrible. It's more of a for fun thing than anything meta defining. So take this with a grain of salt. This is basically just for fun. Because the operator weapons, now that we have these new arcanes, are actually pretty powerful. We're actually going to be using them in Sortie 3 today, and I'm going to show you how they perform there. And just a heads up, it's really not insane damage, but we are going to try to do our best to handle basically all the enemies there. Okay, so let's go over what we are using here. And I would just also like to clarify, this stuff is really hard to acquire. We're using 3 different arcanes that all come from Fortuna right now. So this is not for normal everyday players, okay? This is just a for fun, crazy idea I had, and it honestly is pretty good. So what we're using here is we're using rank 3 of Virtuous Trojan. So what this does is it makes our amp go from void damage, which has very bad damage modifiers against all types, to viral damage, which does a couple things for us. One, it gives us the viral status effect on our amp, which lets us have enemy HP for a few seconds. And it also gives us viral damage on the amp, which also lets us do more damage with some better modifiers than void damage. Okay? One problem that we do run into with this Virtuous Trojan arcane is when we are using a self-damaging type of scaffold, like the shraksun that we are using right now, you gotta be really careful when you're firing that self-damage scaffold, because it will usually one-shot you. As you see right there, 7,500 viral damage. Our operator has 600 health, so that is gonna one-shot us most of the time when it is proccing viral as well, because it does proc viral on you as well. So be really, really careful. Honestly, in the future, I'm probably gonna make a new amp just for operator combat that does not utilize the tier 2, when I'm not planning on doing a Eidolon fight or a Kuva mission or anything like that, but I think I will stick with this flamethrower lega prism. Okay, so if I was to replace this tier 2 scaffold for a non-self-damaging type, I would probably use the tier 4, the saw blade launcher, because that thing actually has really good damage and crit. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, we are going to also be utilizing Magus lockdown. So I have a video on Magus lockdown. It's really powerful currently. A lot of people are kind of wanting to get nerfed. I'm not one of those people, but whatever happens, happens. So what this does is when we void dash, which we'll be doing a lot with this build, by the way, because it's built around the operator, we drop a tether mine, which is basically an invisible little area where enemies get put to sleep, air quotes, put to sleep. There's a bunch of weird things going on with that. And then after 4 seconds, it will detonate and deal... it's 60% of their health, and that's affected by armor. So there's a reason we're using Garuda with this, and I'll explain that in a second. So yeah, this is really nice for us just void dashing into a group of enemies. They're already all put to sleep, and then we can start using our viral amp on them. Okay, so that's really good. This is pretty much essential to the build, and you can use this without having your entire loadout based on the operator, but it's really fun to have this. And we're also using this new one I got today, which is Magus Melt. So what this does is also on void dash. Increased heat damage in operator mode by 20% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 5x. That doesn't really explain exactly what's going on. So basically every time we void dash, we're getting 20% of our base damage of our amp increased as heat damage. So once we do it 5 times, we're getting 100% heat damage on our amp in addition. So we will be doing viral and heat damage with our amp once we void dash once. And once we void dash 5 times, we have a ton of more heat damage. So this thing becomes really good. I'm going to compare it to the Ignis Wraith really quick, and you can see that it's actually not too far behind the Ignis Wraith, which is a weapon that has a bunch of formas on it, and a Riven, and a good build, okay? before we go to that, actually, I'm going to go over the focus that we're actually using here. So there's a few things you could use here. You could use Unairu if you wanted to increase the damage of your amp, but I was trying this earlier and it really was like not worth it to me. This is really good in Eidolon fights, but it was just like I don't really want to be running Unairu in the first place because the energy regeneration from Zeneric is really nice. Also, Zeneric has the Temporal Blast node, which lets you slow enemies for a long period of time whenever you use your operator melee on them. So there's a couple other things in here that are okay. This armor removal is nice, but the other thing with that is like I'm going to be void dashing in to like stun everybody. I don't want to hit them with my void dash. So there might be some merit to this. I wasn't really enjoying it as much as I thought I would. You could also use Materai to get your void strike, but again, I wasn't really taking this. I have everything in Materai unlocked. It's just like Zeneric just felt the best to use, so that's what we're gonna stick with. The main thing, we also have all the waybounds. So like I said, this is not for like beginner players. We have basically everything that Focus has available to us, and so we're gonna have more health, more armor, more energy pool, everything. So yeah, this is something you could work towards if you just want to have some fun with the operator in the future. But yeah, what we're utilizing here is Temporal Blast, like I mentioned. Operator melee slows enemies by 80% for 15 seconds. That's really nice. 15 seconds, 80%. That's higher than Nova's slow, a lot. So yeah, it's just really nice, guys. So that's the operator stuff. I believe I showed everything there that we are utilizing, and now we're going to show the Warframe stuff. So we're not going to be using too much stuff with the Warframe here. But we are using Garuda, and the reason we're using Garuda is because Garuda's second ability actually heals the operator and your companions, so that's really cool. Once we get out and are like fighting people as our operator, we need that health regen because the health regeneration of the operator is really low by default. So yeah, that's basically it. This is like a serviceable Garuda build. We don't have a 200% strength, so we don't have the 100% bleed chance on our fourth, but that's okay. We're not really going to be using the fourth unless we find like a really annoying enemy. We'll use the fourth on them then, and then utilize Magus Lockdown to one-shot them. But yeah, this is what we're using for Garuda. I put some weird formas on. Actually, we can fit a full. Yeah, I actually switched the build briefly before this video started recording, so we can fit that on there. This is basically, so if we get knocked out of our operator, we don't want to instantly die in Garuda when we get thrown back in, so this is basically it. You could improve this build a little bit more too. And then what we're using for our primary, we're basically never going to use this. This is just in case we run into a Nox. We want to actually, we want to kill the Nox, because the amp is not very good against Nox. Not a lot of things are very good against Nox, but this is what we'll be using here. We're also using the Pox. So in case we run into a really high-level armored enemy, we can just quickly throw the Pox at them and remove their armor, and then our amp will destroy them afterwards. And then Zenistar, this is like if you're just camping in an area. We have it modded for corrosive just to remove armor from enemies, and some heat to like stun them. This is not really something I use too often, but it is there in case we need it. And then another little piece of tech we're using here is we're actually using the MOA, and we're using the MOA's stasis field ability. So the MOA will create a stasis field for 30 seconds, and while inside the field, all the enemy's projectiles move 90% slower and deal 60% less damage. So this lets us actually face tank level 100 Bombard's rockets as the operator in here. So this is really helpful. The problem with the MOA is like it has a really big hitbox compared to like a dog or a cat, and they also just seem to like stand still in front of enemies a lot. So you'll see your MOA going down a lot if you're using one. That's one of the main problems with MOAs right now. But you know, this is really helpful to make our operator more tanky. So we'll be utilizing the MOA here. There's other abilities for the MOA, but they make it not use this as much, and this is what I'm using the MOA for. So yeah. I also had a weapon on the MOA earlier, but it wasn't using its stasis field, it was just firing the gun instead, so we decided to switch off of that. Okay, so now that that's all covered, let's go into this Sortie 3, and I can show you how it works. So it's energy reduction, which is a big oof for Garuda, because Garuda really wants energy, especially with his quick thinking build. Okay, so this should take probably, I'm going to guess like 5 to 6 minutes to complete. But it might take a little bit longer. We'll see how I'm doing.
The tower's neural sentry is operational.
Alright, so this is an energy reduction, level 100, exterminate. Alright, so we're gonna void dash 5 times to get our built up fire damage on our amp. I actually didn't compare it to the Ignis rate, but I can do that after we're done here. So get our healing zone established. So like I mentioned earlier, the self-damage from the tier 2 scaffold is really bad, so we actually want to be really careful if we're using the tier 2 scaffold against enemies. I need to remember I don't have Magus Elevate equipped, so don't even try to spam my operator to save myself. Yeah, that's the thing, like this is a totally for fun build, guys. So we don't have Magus Elevate equipped, we have Magus Lockdown instead, and yeah, I mean, it's been fun. I don't know if I'd say it's like something I do all the time, but yeah. So everyone's put to sleep. Let's get our healing area established. Get our fire damage stacked up. Now, if I see a heavy gunner, we'll be using Garuda's 4th ability on them, just to make it so we kill them a lot faster. Okay, so I'm just going to shoot this guy at the Corinth, just to make sure he dies as soon as he gets off the spikes. So yeah, this is pretty good. There definitely could be a better amp for only operator combat, and I'll be making a video on that in the future. If people want that, that is. I mean, I think operator combat's kind of fun. It's definitely not for everybody. I totally hear the sentiment, guys, when you say, I play this game to be a space robot ninja, not a emo teenager kid. I totally understand that. Trust me. I honestly did not like the operator at all when we first got it. I'm like, what the heck is this? Like, that was completely out of left field, at least for me, someone who's not super invested in the lore. But after a while, it became like a huge part of my playstyle, and I feel like I couldn't play the game without the operator anymore. So, yeah, I know that's not the sentiment everyone else has, but I'd say give it a chance. Because there's like lots of avenues that are opened up to you when you start using the operator regularly. I didn't mean to shoot that guy. Well, that's what happens when you use a gun. Spoiler alert. Okay, that's an Eximus, level 100. It was a Corpus, guys, so he doesn't have armor, but pretty nice. So, like, there's obviously not going to be a Nox in this Corrupted mission, but that's the main reason that we brought the Corinth, just to, like, one-shot a Nox. Also, guys, when I mentioned that self-damage is on this shraksun, a way you can actually avoid the self-damage is actually fire the projectile while you're walking away from it, and it won't actually hit you. So, like, see if we just fired it normally, it would hit us. See, like, it viral proc us there. But here's the thing, if you, like, do the same thing but you're walking away from it, you actually don't self-damage yourself. And then you can just, like, use your explosive weapon that has a ton of damage, like, safely. So that's something to keep in mind. Our heat damage. Just like one-shot that room. Almost one-shot that room. Oh, is there an ancient here? There might be an ancient. Oh, there isn't. So yeah, like, obviously if we were playing Saren right now, or like Mesa, or like whatever, we would probably already be done with the mission. But the fact that you can do this kind of stuff with the operator, I think is really fun and exciting. And like, not to mention, you can actually stack up 3 healing pylons on top of each other, and just basically be like full health all the time with the operator. So there's like lots of fun things with it. Not to mention you're invincible while you're in void mode, so while you're invisible with your operator, you're actually invincible to like basically all damage. Sometimes it will glitch out and still you'll take a toxin proc, but that's like toxin or slash proc can sometimes hit you in operator mode, but that is only like usually when lag is involved. Yeah, also like lag can make the operator really annoying, and trust me, I know. There's been times like I pushed the operator button, it's like, you didn't push the operator button, like you pushed it like 5 seconds later. I'm like, oh, didn't I push that button? Like, it's really annoying. Like, lag can make things in this game really frustrating. Alright, here's a heavy gunner. So we use our Garuda 4 on them, and then we hit them with the amp, and they're just basically dead. So yeah, if I was to build a amp just for operator combat, I think I would go with a, probably a 647, maybe? Maybe a 643 actually, because like when you're using the viral amp, having some status chance isn't the worst thing in the world, because you want to get that viral proc out so they have half the amount of health they're supposed to have. Right now we're using the same amp from the video yesterday, the Cerberus, but I actually have some ideas to make it better for this specific type of gameplay. Alright, so this is the kind of enemy I'm talking about. We're going to use our Garuda 4 on him, and he shouldn't be a problem for much longer. Yeah, he's dead now. So yeah guys, I mean we've been in here for like 6 minutes, so it is taking a while. Like, if we brought Sarah in here, it would definitely be done. It would have been done like in 3 minutes probably. But you know, sometimes you just want to have some fun, try some other things out. And that's what we're doing right now. There's another heavy gunner there. We're going to use Garuda's 4th. And she should be dead pretty soon. Oh yeah, so the thing I wanted to mention with Garuda, actually, is so when I made that video on Magus Lockdown, we were actually using Nyx and Garuda to like strip the armor with Nyx, obviously, and then hit him with Garuda 4. You actually don't even need the Nyx for Garuda. Her 4 is kind of overpowered, or yeah, it's not overpowered. I need to not use overpowered for everything, but it's really good, and yeah, so even with just Garuda, you can use her 4th ability and Magus Lockdown, and it will one-shot the enemy, even if they have armor. So here's a, yeah, let's try it on this heavy gunner right here. Alright, let's get our healing zone. Alright, so, she's not full health, that's too bad. I'm low health too, I'm dead. Okay, if we can find a full health heavy gunner, I'm totally gonna show you guys what I mean. So obviously, like, if we were in like a sortie right now with level 100 enemies, level 80 to 100 enemies, these guys would be like insta dead. So it's really not as bad as people think it is. I know people have been commenting in my videos like, Operator Amp is useless in normal missions. I'm like, have you actually tried it though? I know you like are saying that, but I don't think you've actually tried it if you think it's that terrible. Like, we have basically an Ignis Wraith right now on any character, like without having the Ignis Wraith equipped. So how is that bad? Can you explain that to me? Like, we have 600 base damage Ignis Wraith right now that is viral. Also guys, they did some changes to Garuda since my last video on her. You actually like fly around in your, I didn't mean to push those. You actually fly around in your 4 now. So this is so much better than what they had before. Before it was like you completely stopped your momentum midair, and it was like terrible. I'm like, oh, I'm not even playing Garuda anymore. But they changed it, so it's a lot better now. Also, another nice thing with Garuda and the Operator is you can put up your shield like this, and you can like fire your amp from behind the shield, which is really nice. There's a heavy gunner over there. Let's show what I was talking about with Magus Lockdown. So she's gonna get one shot solo. So see, it wasn't the full 60, but it was enough damage that she died. So that's really nice. So when we don't have our Magus Melt stacked up, we're actually dealing a lot less damage. So that's something to keep in mind. If you want to use this playstyle, which it's fun to try out. I think I'm going to go back to Elevate instead of Magus Melt in the future. But, I mean, this might be fun in some kind of like future spider fight that we get, where heat damage is needed. Maybe like the Ice Spider will have something where we need to do heat damage. Maybe it'll be useful. So, I don't know if I'd say pick it up right away. But if you want to do like this Operator Combat playstyle, because like trust me, this is a lot better in lower level missions than this level 3 Sortie right now. Just try it out. Maybe you'll be pleasantly surprised. So that's the Magus Lockdown right there. See, the MOA is just constantly dying here. Oh, another really big problem with the Operator is you actually don't have any enemy radar while you are in Operator, or loot radar. So that's why farming Cetus Wisps as the Operator is kind of annoying, because you don't have any loot radar. So it's kind of like just like wandering around hoping you find them, jumping out of Operator when you find one, or like when you're near an area. So yeah, it's not for everyone for sure. I just thought this would be a fun video. Maybe like get some juices flowing for theory crafting, guys. Because like honestly, making builds in this game is one of my favorite things to do. And the fact that this is like these operator arcanes are opening like build possibilities. That makes me really happy for the future of the game. I know not everyone likes that, as I've mentioned earlier in the video, but yeah, some people do. Oh, there's an okay. This ancient is what's causing all the problems. Like, why? I just like Magus locked on these guys twice. You don't have the Garuda buff on you. Also, guys, I downloaded some programs to start editing videos. I'm not going to do any editing for this one, but in the future there will definitely be some videos with editing on them. Not like nothing too crazy, just like to make it so when I say something that I didn't completely mean to say, it's like we'll change it to be what I meant to say. Because, like, for example, in one of my Profit Taker videos, I said that the Fluctus has self-damage. I meant to say the Grattler, but I just said the Fluctus because that was in my head for some reason, and yeah, like for things like that, those won't happen anymore once I start doing editing, because I'll review the video before I upload it. We've been in this area for a long time. Keep sending dudes at me. Okay, so hope that we're out of here soon. So there's the operator melee right there. Okay, so now we have 3 healing pylons up. Those enemies are not going to kill us. Okay, we're almost done. We got 2 more kills.
You have broken their
Perfect.
ranks and they are on the run.
Now let's get out of here.
Another successful
Another really
mission.
nice thing about the
Find
operator, when you have
extraction.
these waybounds like this, you can fly around the map like super speed. And what's causing me to do that are the waybound passives from the Xenoric and the Naramon trees. So, you put a bunch of focus into those passives, the waybound passives, and then you unlock them with a Eidolon shard, a Radiant Eidolon shard, and it might be a Brilliant Eidolon shard actually. And then you can use those passives on every focus tree. Okay, so we got a pineapple that took 12 minutes. I wouldn't recommend doing that normally, but I wanted to show you guys the capabilities that this combo of arcanes has. And let's quickly just compare my Ignis Wraith to this operator amp, okay? And then we're gonna end the video. That mission went a little bit rougher than I thought it was gonna go, because you know, it's not the best playstyle to be completely honest, but it is fun. Okay, so here's my Ignis Wraith. We have a Riven mod on it. We have a 6th Forma build. We have 230 heat damage, 486 viral damage. We have 42% crit, 7.6 critical multiplier. That's because of my Riven mod. And we also have, we can shoot through walls with this because of my Riven mod, and we have 46% status. So about like 700 base damage, a little bit over 700 damage, viral and heat. So it's basically the same elemental combos I'm using on my amp, and it's got much better crit. So if you compare that to the amp I'm using, it's actually kind of comparable, guys. It actually might have more base damage once we have the Magus Melt fully stacked. So yeah, it's basically like having an Ignis Wraith with almost a full build. Like, we have a lot worse critical damage, but that honestly, you could try to use the critical damage arcane there. You'd be losing your viral damage in that case, but just do some theory crafting. Try some stuff out, guys. This is just to get those juices flowing for you. And yeah, I hope that you found this video helpful and enjoyable. It's just a for fun build, like I mentioned, nothing meta defining. But yeah, Garuda is really good with the operator, to heal the operator and to make it have those slash damage procs with its amp. Okay, so you guys have a nice night. Thanks for checking out the channel. Editing coming in the future. Also, if you guys have any suggestions on videos you would like to see, besides Magus Repair, I'm not going to be buying Magus Repair, guys. I thought about it, and Magus Repair is really not my playstyle. It's just not, it doesn't seem like it's very fun. So, any other video besides Magus Repair will be coming in the very near future. And Magus Repair will be coming in like the late future. I'm just not immediately jumping on that, okay? So, you guys have a nice night. Please like, favorite, subscribe, and peace.